Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode. For those of you who are new to this YouTube channel, my name's Jay and I make videos around lifestyle, productivity and mental health. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the key ingredients to successfully setting personal goals. And I'm also going to be exploring the science behind why some of the people around you might be attaining theirs and what you can do to attain yours. As always, I'm going to link timestamps here and the link below so that you can skip to the parts of the video that you want to. Also, if you like my content, please don't forget to like and subscribe and support me along the way. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. Did you know there are over 120,000 motivational self-help books on Amazon? Now, why is that relevant? Well, each year we go and set ourselves some personal goals. And we think that if we go out with some strong intentions, for example, buying some of these books, they will hopefully give us some inspiration or some motivation to go and attain our goals. Yet we know in reality, even those individuals with the strongest of intentions sometimes fall short of meeting their goals. And we know that often it's the gap between your intended behavior and your actual behavior that results in whether you attain your goal. So for me, a goal is any mental representation of what I would like to achieve in the future. So for example, in 2021, I would like to create good quality content for my YouTube channel. And ultimately, goals give us a sense of direction, aspiration, and satisfaction in life, which is why they're incredibly important. And this is why I want to talk about the key ingredients that you should consider when setting yourself some goals. Now, the first type of goal I'd like to talk about are approach and avoidance goals. Now, approach goals help individuals move towards the desired outcome, whereas avoidance goals help individuals move away from undesired outcomes. So an example of an approach goal is that I'll have 8 hours of sleep every night because it's good for my health. An example of an avoidance goal is that I'll avoid eating cake because it's bad for my health. And we know that approach-based goals are associated with greater levels of positive emotions, thoughts, self-evaluations, and psychological well-being than avoidance-based goals. And there's actually evidence to show that people who follow approach-based goals are far more likely to actually attain their goals. And there's actually a study published in December last year, which looked at over 1,000 individuals in Sweden who set themselves New Year's resolutions for the year. And what it found was that those individuals who set themselves approach-based goals were more likely to actually stick and achieve those goals than those individuals who set avoidance-based goals. And this shows that approach-based goals are more effective than avoidance-based goals. And this is something that we should bear in mind when we're doing our goal setting for any situation. And this brings me on to the next set of goals, which I think are important to focus on. And these are performance goals and mastery goals. Now, performance goals are any goal that involves setting a target for yourself. So for example, a performance goal might be, I would like to run 5K in less than 20 minutes. And this is quite a challenging goal that stretches my abilities at the moment. They're incredibly important because they give us a sense of measurability to the goals that we set. However, performance-based goals can also be quite challenging because if we don't meet them, we might feel a little bit disheartened. And that's why it's equally important to set ourselves mastery goals, which are essentially learning goals so that we can increase our skills and abilities. So the focus changes away from performance, but rather to the process of actually improving ourselves. And that's actually been shown to encourage a lot of self-evaluation, problem solving, and active engagement. And this is incredibly powerful stuff because evidence has shown that people who set mastery goals are more likely to persist with those goals. And so what this tells us is those individuals who set performance goals should not just set them in isolation, but also in conjunction with mastery goals, since mastery goals may give us a sense of satisfaction as we learn and develop. And this brings me on to the next set of goals, which are difficult goals versus easy goals. So the key difference between an easy goal and a challenging goal is their level of complexity. Now, an easy goal is less complex, requires less effort and performance to attain, whereas a challenging goal is more complex, therefore requires more effort and performance to obtain. Now, we as humans actually prefer challenging goals. And there was actually a study that was done in over 16,000 individuals that was recently published, which I'll link below. And what it found was that goals that were considered more effective were actually difficult in nature. And so this begs the question as to why do we as humans prefer difficult goals? And there's actually an interesting article that was published in Harvard Business Review, which I'll link below, which kind of talks about how difficult goals are associated with a greater sense of anticipated satisfaction. And this might give us a greater sense of motivation to go ahead and pursue that goal. And this brings me on to another key ingredient for goal setting success, which are SMART goals. Now, SMART goals are specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-bound goals. Now, the whole reason why these goals have become so popularized in recent times is because there's a lot of science to actually support that they work. work. Studies on goal setting theory show that in some cases, specific goals are superior to abstract or vague goals. Goals are more effective as well-defined goals because they focus on individuals' intentions and desires and standards by which success can be measured. Now, it's great to talk about all these goal setting theories, but what they don't tell us is how to actually implement them. And this leads me to the next point of my video, which is around what are the key ingredients of a good action plan? Now, the characteristics of a good action plan are threefold. Number one, setting yourself some specific tasks. So one thing I like to do once I set my goals is actually go and write down the tasks that I need to achieve in an action plan. And the way I do it is by using a productivity app called Notion, which I find incredibly useful. So I'll actually link this in the bio below. The process of writing down what you need to do has been shown to lead to behavioral change. The second thing I think is important is to set tasks that are of short duration. For me, setting a task that is of short duration enables me to monitor it regularly. In fact, there was a study done in over 19,000 individuals that showed that people who monitored their goals more regularly were more likely to attain their goals. So this is very powerful stuff, and I'll link the article below for your interest. Now, the third part of a good action plan is what I like to call public commitment. Now, there's evidence to show that people who share their plans with others are often engendered with a greater sense of accountability and concern for how they might be perceived if they don't stick to their commitments. And this brings us to the last part of this video, which is all about goal commitment. This is one of the most difficult parts of achieving your goal because it requires maintaining behaviors over a sustained period of time, and of course resisting all the temptations and distractions that may come our way. There's a palpable feeling of being pulled by competing internal tendencies in multiple different directions. Choosing a path that's less favorable requires willpower, and willpower is something that is considered as a finite resource to some individuals, even though it really isn't. However, there are strategies that people can employ to overcome these weaknesses, if you will. One such strategy is known as an implementation intention, which are essentially coping plans that people put in place to firstly identify potential future obstacles that can impede their goals, and secondly, pre-program actions that make decisions easier so that they don't have to think too hard to achieve their goals. So for example, one of my goals in 2021 is to get better sleep hygiene. And I know that my mobile phone serves as a useful distraction away from that goal because I'm always on my social media watching videos at night time, which eats into my sleep. So I know that if I put my mobile in a different room, it's out of sight, out of mind. Therefore, I'm more likely to get a good night's sleep. And that's an example of what I call an implementation intention, where I'm proactively planning ahead so I avoid those temptations and I'm more likely to achieve my goal. So just to conclude, we know that pursuing goals are a critical part of addressing challenges at a personal level. Goals give us a sense of direction, meaning, and purpose in life. In this video, we also talked about some of the key ingredients to successfully setting goals, namely choosing mastery goals that are approach-based and appropriately challenging, not forgetting SMART goals, but most importantly, choosing goals that are aligned with your intrinsic motivations and that you truly believe you can achieve. We also talked about some of the key ingredients to effective action planning, namely having actions that are of short duration, have a degree of public commitment, and are well documented. Lastly, we looked at a coping strategy known as an implementation intention that we can employ to avoid succumbing to our temptations and desires that may derail our goals. Hey guys, thanks for tuning into today's episode. I hope you found the content informative, useful, and if you did take away some value from it, please don't forget to support me by liking and subscribing. Before I clock out, I've got a question for you guys. What are your goals for 2021? And how do you intend to achieve them? If you'd want to tell me, please don't forget to hit the comments below, and I'd love to read them. But with that said, that's enough for today, and I'll see you in next week's episode. So thank you guys.